Welcome to the online classes presented by Sajan Global School. I'm Mr. FARUK Sheikh. Today I'm going to teach you subject Social Science, Standard 9, Chapter 18, Wildlife. Students, wild means the animals, the forest, trees, birds who are living in the forest. Okay, that is called the wild. So, India has a very diversified relief and climate. So many diversity that we can find that India is not only there is a diversities in the human beings, but there is also the geographical diversity also is there. The climatical diversity also is there in India. Similarly, diversity is seen here in the wildlife. So it is that India is diversified into different zones, topography, characteristic of the different types of the land, soil, temperature, humidity, atmosphere. So this diversity also is seen here in the wildlife in the entire world. About 15 lakh species of wildlife are recorded, of which 81,251 species are found in India. So around the world, in the entire world, 15 lakh species of the wildlife are recorded. पूरी दुनिया में 15 लाख जितने जंगली एनिमल्स हैं, वाइल्ड एनिमल्स, and out of this 81,251 species are found in India. यानी कि 81,251 जितने एनिमल्स इंडिया में हैं. This include reptiles, means the animals, the creature which are moving with the support of the stomach. It is called the reptiles, like a snake, python, anacondas. These all are called the reptiles. Mammals. Okay. The mammal animal are called that who give birth to the young ones. Okay, यानी कि जो अपने बच्चों को जन्म देते हैं. These animals are called the mammals. Fish and other insect exploration continue to identify other animals found in different forests. India is the sixth position among the countries rich in biodiversity. In this biodiversity, in the wildlife, that India at the sixth position in the world, in the countries rich in biodiversity. So this is, you have to keep in mind that in the entire world that 15 lakhs of the wild species are recorded, and out of these 81,251 are found in India. India has less forest cover compared to that its wildlife diversity is noticeable. Okay, the forest cover, it is very less in the all over the India. There is not forest are so much compared to that its wildlife diversity is noticeable. But in the comparison of the forest cover, in the forest the diversity is noticeable of the wildlife. I mean different species of the wild animals are found in India. Let us study about this all the animals in details. First, animal geographical region of India. So natural vegetation regions have been devised on the basis of their characteristics. Similarly, a spatial distribution can be made for animals. The wildlife of India is divided into 9 zones according to the similarities in their characteristics and their existence in any region. These are as follow. In the next slide, I am going to teach you. We are going to study about the wildlife of India's 9 zones, and these are divided into the 9 zones according to the similarity in their characteristics and their existence. Let us see. So here is students are given that nine zones which are divided for the wildlife. First is the Himalaya region, second Ladakh and dry cold area, third forest region in lower Himalaya, fourth high lands without forest cover in upper Himalaya, fifth northern plains, sixth desert of Rajasthan, seventh peninsular plateau, eight sea coast and nine Nilgiri hills. So in different this region, different types of the diversity is found here. So that is why, according to their similarity, according to their characteristic, these the wildlife, the biodiversity is divided into the nine division. Biodiversity is studied according to this geographical region. Okay, so according to geographical region, that we can study about the biodi- biodiversity. Now let us study about the diversified wildlife of India. Okay, do you know that human beings also diversified according to language, color, creed, caste, religion, reason. So as it is, the wildlife is also diversified. Let us study in details about the diversified wildlife of India. The vast alluvial plains of rivers, peninsular plateau, mountainous region, swampy areas, seacoast, dense rainforest, deciduous forest, coniferous forest in Himalaya, and other higher region from a vast background for habitation of wildlife in India. So in the different region, in the different geographical region, the different habitation of wildlife is found in India, in the mountainous region, in the peninsular plateau, in the river banks, and the swampy area at the sea coast, the dense rainforest, coniferous forest, deciduous forest, high region from the vast background. In the all these geographical areas, the different types of the habitation of the wildlife is found. The animal seen are Asian elephant in peninsular rainforest. Okay, the Asian elephant, these are found in the peninsular rainforest, one horned rhino in swampy Brahmaputra river. Okay, the one horned rhino. Okay, the rhino which has just only the one horn. It is found in the swampy Brahmaputra river. Snow leopard in higher Himalaya. That snow leopard it is also found in the higher Himalaya. Wild goats and musk deer in Jammu Kashmir. The musk deer, the deer is also the valuable for its pleasant smell, which can be found from its navel. It is called the musk deer. It is in Gujarat. It's called the Kasturi Mrug. And these wild goats and the musk deer are found in the Jammu and Kashmir. Wild buffalo, Indian bison, tiger in central India and West Bengal. In the West Bengal and in the central area, in the Sundarban, it is which is in the West Bengal, these tigers are found. Gurkhar, which is called the wild ass, it is found in the little run of Kutch, and flamingo in waterlogged Great Run. That flamingo is also the state bird of Gujarat. In this flamingo bird is found in the logged Greater Run. Presence of great Indian bustard in the grassland area is noted again. Okay, so the Indian bustard. Okay, this is also our presence in the grassland area, in waterlogged area. Then migratory, the animal, the birds during the some difficult weather or atmosphere or the climate, they move from one place to another place for a temporary time or temporary period. That is called the migration. So the migratory bird cold region come down in the great number. Okay, from the cold region, from the European countries, the many of the migratory birds came down in great number. These include Siberian crane, pelican, Tibetan duck, kunj, karakara, etc. The flying squirrel are seen in this dense forest of Western Ghat. Flying squirrel, okay, I have seen the squirrel which is moving on its four legs, but here that squirrel also has the hands too, okay, while the squirrel is eating, so you can just see that she's also holding the food and she's kutu kutu that doing things, she's nutting it, okay. But this flying squirrel is also found in India in the dense forest of Western Ghat. Nicobari dove is a rare bird seen in Nicobar Island. The Nicobari birds, sorry, Nicobari dove. These are the very rare birds seen in the Nicobar Island. Rare species of corals are seen in the Gulf of Kutch and Lakshadweep. The corals, okay, this is also the very rare species. Okay, they are found somewhere only. So the rare species of the coral also are seen in the Gulf of Kutch and Lakshadweep Island, along with mammal and many types of the birds. Mammal means I also said the mammals, the animal who births to their young ones, यानी कि जो डायरेक्ट बच्चों को जन्म देते हैं, that types of the animals are called the mammals, okay. And the animal who hatch their eggs, यानी कि animals, the birds who are hatching their eggs, then the birds, the young ones came out from the eggs, यानी कि जो eggs में से जो बच्चे पैदा होते हैं, they are called the birds, okay. uh, if you know that bat, bat can fly, but it's not bird. Bat is an animal because bat give birth to young ones. इनकी बैट अपने बच्चों को जन्म देता है डायरेक्टली, okay. So that is why bat is an animal. Just keep it in mind, okay. And many types of the birds notice will be taken: the king cobra, snakes, python, iguana, okay, patlago. Also along sea coast and other water bodies, water species, sea snakes, dolphin, shark, dugong, sea cow, octopus, whale, etc. from a part of animal world. Okay, so these are the animals, the wildlife animals are found in the India. Okay, there is the mammals, birds, marine animal. Okay, beside forest animal like fox, wolf, nilgiri, deer, mongoose, rabbits, wild dog, and gyog are seen in the agricultural areas. So these animals are seen in the agricultural areas because they are depend on the crops, on the grass. Many birds such as nightingale, parrot, peacock, weaver bird, ihibari, pillak, vulture, cabar, dhorbagla, etc. also seen roaring in this area. And in these agricultural areas, these birds also seen the dhorbagla. So that it is also called the crane. Okay, stork also it can be say. So while that buffalo or the animals, the grazing the grass, so during while they grazing the grass, so from that time the many of the small insect flying. So this bagla, this crane eating this insect, that is why this crane bagla are called the door bagla. So these animals, these birds also are seen, also are roaming in the agricultural areas. You should like to know, students, the crane is the largest bird seen in India. Crane, it is called in Gujarati saras, and that is the largest bird seen in India. Okay, Flusangano is the smallest bird seen in India. Okay, Flusangano is the smallest birds in India, और ये सबसे छोटा birds है. Birdwing is the largest butterfly seen in South India, and the birdwing, that is a butterfly, and that is largest butterfly which is seen in South India. Cirrus jewel is the smallest butterfly seen in India, and the cirrus jewels is the smallest butterfly seen in India. Now let us study about the wildlife and need for conservation. It is also important for us, like we have studied in the previous, in the other chapters. about the conservation for the nature, vegetation, natural vegetation, petroleum, water, land conservation. So as it is, the wildlife is also the very important for us, that we should conserve it, because it is also chain of the environment, chain of the nature, which is created by the God. And once if this chain is also broken, so there should be the imbalance in the biodiversity. May it is also affect our life too. So that is why it is our moral responsibility to conserve the wildlife. While going through the past, it becomes evident that there is a danger to the existence of the wildlife since last few decades. Means last few decades we found, while going through the past, that we can see the wildlife is in the danger to the existence, यानी कि उनको जीवन जीने के लिए भी बहुत खतरे में है, because many of the people are hunting them to earn money for the medical, as a medicinal herbs, for a habit. Okay, so that is why this wild life is found in danger to the existence. Before 100 year, thousands of tiger were seen in India, यानी कि 100 साल पहले इंडिया में हजारों से ऊपर टाइगर्स थे. But as per the figure of 2014 given by Forest and Environment Ministry, the figure is 2226. Okay, so tigers have grown in number, which is evident from the imprints of their food taken during last few years. So okay, so the as per the number is given by the Environment Ministry, the figure is 2226 tigers. So they have grown in number, which is evident from the imprints of their food taken during last few years. यानी कि पिछले कुछ सालों से now the Environment Ministry and the Forest Department also take care of them. That is why their numbers are grown. This is a good sign. Vultures are on verge of becoming existing. Okay, so the vulture, the animal which is the bird which is also known as a cleaner, इसको सफाई कामदार के रूप से जाना जाता है. Means while the animals are died, so people throw them away from the village, गांव से उसको दूर फेंक के आते हैं. So while in the outside of the village also, these types of the animals were decayed, so the smell is very stinks, very stink smell. Okay, but the vulture birds, they gather around these types of the animal and they eat and they clean that animal, died animals. That is why they are called the cleaner. So these species of the vulture are on verge of becoming extinct due to eating the meat which become polluted by diclofenac drug used in treatment of sick milch cattle. So while the animals are sick and to get their milk, so that time diclofenac medicines given to these types of the animal, and this drug, this medicine is not good, and because of this their meat is polluted. And why these vulture birds, the dead animal on which during the treatment this diclofenac medicine is used, diclofenac drug is used, okay, to get the more and more milk. Okay, while they eat these types of the meat, they died. That is the reason now from the India, the vulture birds are on verge of becoming extinct. Asiatic cheetah seen in the forest in the beginning of 20th century have become extinct from India. The Asiatic cheetah in the beginning of the 20th century they were seen in the forest, but now they are become extinct from the India. यानी कि इंडिया में से वो जाति खत्म हो चुकी है. Once the Asiatic lions of Gir, which are seen even up to Middle East, the Asiatic lions also are seen in Middle East of India. Now there is also taken care for the lions too, but the lions are now restricted to Gir forest only. With the due step taken for their protection, now their number is 523 lions are in India. Once cranes were seen in large number in Gujarat, but now their number is reduced. The crane, the largest bird of the India, it is also seen in the Gujarat in the large number, but the cranes also are now decreased. The number of crane is reduced. Wildlife is an inseparable part of living organisms, but the decrease in their number somewhere and during few years reduce the quality of environment, which is a matter of concern. यानी कि ये हमारे सोचने की चिंता की बात है, because the wildlife is also inseparable part of the living organisms. यानी कि जो जीव जाति है, okay, for all the living beings, the wildlife is also the inseparable from them, but increasing their number in the previous few years because of the quality of environment, which is matter of concern. Siam Garud, which is also known as the eagle, a resident of mountainous forest in Gujarat, is now rarely seen. The Garud is also now rarely seen, and it's mostly live in the mountainous forest in the Gujarat. Chilotro, seen in the forest of Vijayanagar, Taluka of Sabarkantha district, is also rarely seen. The Chilotro, it is also now rarely seen. Okay, it is one types of the snake, look like a python. It is obvious that endless human greed and the run for progress have made environment imbalanced. Why? This effect we can see on the animals. Why the number of these wild animals is reducing continuously? It is because of the human greed and for the run for the progress. They have made the environment imbalanced, which will bring adverse result. Still, there is time. If proper actions are not taken, then the next generation will see the wildlife only in picture. We also now have a time. We should have to be aware and awake for the conservation and for the protection of this animal. If the steps are not taken in time, so maybe the our next generation may they will see this all the lives wildlife animal only in the picture. Like now watching we are seeing dinosaur in the picture, in the museum only, in the TV only. वैसे ही अगर हमने इन एनिमल्स का ख्याल नहीं रखा, so the next generation will ask to their parents, how look like the tiger, how was the vulture. Okay, that is our responsibility to protect and conserve wild animals. Now the for the protection and for the conservation in the India, important national parks and sanctuaries of India, Kaziranga, that national park situated in the Assam. There is a rhino, wild buffalo, and deer. The desert, Rajasthan, Thar Desert, Rajasthan, desert wolf, desert cat, bustard. For this animal, there is a sanctuary, Kana in Madhya Pradesh. The national park, which are in which national park in which place it is situated. Okay, this is information is given. The Kana National Park in Madhya Pradesh, Gir National Park in Gujarat, Velavdar and Kalia National Park in Gujarat, Kevladev, Bharatpur, Rajasthan, Bandipur, Karnataka, the Chigam, Jammu Union Territory. But now the Jammu is not an union territory. This is keep it in mind because the Jammu and Kashmir is divided now into the two state. Okay, they come sorry, Leh and Ladakh. Okay, Corbett, Uttarakhand. Okay, so these are the national park and what types of the animals are found in India in this national park. So in the Kaziranga, Assam, rhino, wild deer, Thar Desert, Rajasthan, deer, wolf, desert cat, bustard, Kana, Madhya Pradesh, tiger and antelope, Gir National Park, lion, leopard and cheetal, Velavdar, Kalia National Park, black buck, wolf peacock, bustard, Kevladev, Bharatpur, Rajasthan, birds, migratory and local, Bandipur, Karnataka, elephant, bear, hog, wildcat, the Chigam, Jammu Union Territory, Jammu, Hamur, Kashmiri deer, musk deer, and wild goat, Corbett, tiger, elephant, and leopard deer. This is the national park in which state? This you should have to memorize it. Okay, so this question can be asked in the exam. Uh, so the national park in which state? The last Gir National Park. So where will you show this Gir National Park? In the which state of the India? So that is in the Gujarat. So by heart the national park and their state. Students, here you can see the map of India that is in the blue circle, wildlife sanctuary, starred bird sanctuary, and the green triangle is shows indicate the national park. Here you can see all the national park. This is the Chigam, Rajaji, Corbett, Dudhwa, Gurumara, Manas, Kaziranga, okay, in the Sundarban, Shimpala, Gunidi, Bandipur, Gir, Velavdar, Pirotan. Pirotan is the national park for the marine life. Okay, Tadoba, Kana, Shivpuri, Ranthambore. These are the national park. Now, bird sanctuary. So, Nal Sarovar, Ranganuthitu, then Vedangnath. Okay, there are three bird sanctuaries in India. Then wildlife sanctuary. So Kevladev, Sariska, Chandraprabha, Rasgir, Iturmangram, Chandamka, Dampara, Keval, Pochara. Okay, so this is the map. Also, you should have to prepare and you have to practice in the map for the all the wildlife, bird sanctuaries, and national park. Now, dangers to wildlife. Why this wildlife is in danger? Why there's a question mark for their existence? Why? What is the reason behind it? So, as because of the progress, because of the development, Because of the human beings greed, human have been made the environment imbalanced. That is the why wildlife is in danger. Let us study in details about. So the a question mark has been put against the existence of entire wildlife due to the human greed and development in recent time. On examining the reason, it's understood that the wildlife has become unprotected as they have lost their natural habitat due to continuously decreasing forest. Now, the many of the time we heard the news, we saw the news in the television that leopards, sometimes animals like a tiger, lion, they are moving in the habitat of the human beings, human residential areas. What is the reason behind it? Why they reach to the human residential areas? So because of the human greeds and for the progress that humans have cutted many of the forest, and because of this deforestation, the wild animal, they lost their natural habitat. Also, the animal which are herbivorous animal, they also lost their habitat and they also move away. Now the wild animals who are the carnivores, they are depends on only an other herbivorous animals. So while they are not found these animals, so because of in search food, they move from the forest areas to the human residential area. That is, we need to understand that life has become the unprotected, and because of they have lost their natural habitat and due to the continuously decreasing forest. Hunting carried out to get skin, meat, teeth, hair, and bones is a big problem. Now the people are hunting this wild animal carried out to get skin, meat, teeth, hair, and bones. Due to heavy grazing by domestic animals in forest, herbivores are deprived of their food, which result in decrease in their number. Due to the heavy grazing by domestic animal in the forest, okay, now the domesticated animals are grazing in the forest. So in the forest, at which are the carnivores, which are the herbivores are deprived for their food. यानी कि the in the forest which animals are depend on the grass, उनको खाने के लिए grass नहीं मिलती है. And because of this animal, while they are grazing, there is also their safers or any other looking after them, that person also with them. So these wild animals, herbivores, cannot be stay there because of the of fearness. So they are deprived of their food, which result in decreasing in their number, and because of this they leave their forest and they went to the other forest. Now while the herbivorous animals move away from their forest, so it will deprive carnivores for getting their food. तो अब जो carnivorous animals है, which are animals are eating the flesh of the other animals, उनको उनका खाने के लिए नहीं मिलता है. So these carnivores reach human settlement in search of food. तो अब ये जो कार्निवर्स एनिमल्स है वो खाने की शोध में, इन द सर्च ऑफ देयर फूड, they are reached to the human residential areas. So situation of conflict arise between wild animal and human. Now while this wild animal is seen in the residential areas, so there is conflict between the humans and the wild animal. It's being this conflict lead to the destruction of wildlife. Beside the human activities in the forest cause adverse effect on wild animal. Because of this, sometimes also many of the animals also are killed, are injured by this wild animal. But and will be death of these animals too in the conflict. Okay. So who is the responsible for this? These animals? No, they were living in their habitat areas in their habitat areas peacefully. But for our greed, run to for progress, we cut their habitat areas, and that is the why herbivores move up for their food, carnivores also move up for their food, and they reach to the human settlement areas. So that is why we should have to solve this problem, because reason is also us, not us but like us the human beings. Okay, you should like to know there is a sharp decrease in the number of domestic sparrows. Okay, in the earlier time there was so many sparrows were living. Okay, यानी कि घर में आके sparrows अपना nest बनाती थी. But I don't also have not seen the sparrows are making the house, the nest in the house. यानी कि अब sparrows भी घर में आके माला नहीं बनाती. What is the reason? Maybe the reason is because of the mobile radiation, because of the electricity, maybe because of the we are making our houses like that blocked, no one can enter in our house. That is why also lion is the state animal and flamingo is the state bird of Gujarat. Lion is the state animal and flamingo is the state bird of Gujarat, not the country. Okay, our countries, our national animal is tiger, but the state animal is the lion. The Gujarat state animal is lion and Gujarat state bird is flamingo. Asiatic lion, good wild ass, and patti lizard are found only in Gujarat in India. Wild buffalo, Indian bison, elephant, cheetah, large Indian squirrel, tiger, etc. have become extinct in Gujarat. Now these types of the buffaloes, the wild buffalo, Indian bison, elephant, cheetah, large Indian squirrels, tiger, वो गुजरात में से धीरे धीरे खत्म हो रहे हैं. Now they are extinct. Desert sanctuary of Kutch is the largest among the sanctuaries in Gujarat. The sanctuary in the desert of Kutch, that is the largest among all the sanctuaries of Gujarat. Porbandar Bird Sanctuary is the smallest sanctuary in Gujarat. Porbandar Bird Sanctuary, which is the smallest bird sanctuary in Gujarat. Due to the decrease in the forest area, the wild animal occasionally come within the human habitation. Human interference in areas of wild animal result into clashes with them. And while these animals are reached to the human settlement areas, there's a clash between the human beings and the animal. In such incidents, wild animal become victim of human rape and lose their lives. In such incident, sometime the wild animals become the victim of human rapes and lost their life. यानी कि वो इंसानों का शिकार बन जाते हैं. Humans are killing them in the residential area for not hunting, for meat, for horns, for hair, but to defend themselves. But for this also human being only responsible, because of the deserts are decreased, sorry, forests are decreased, and human being have interference in the areas of the wildlife. That is why they are reached to the human settlement areas. In the south and southeastern Indian, elephant coming in search for food create havoc in agricultural field. And why in the south and southeastern India, while the elephants are coming in the group, in the herd, to search for food, and they create havoc in the agriculture field. यानी कि जो खेतों में होती है, जो अनाज होता है, जो क्रॉप्स होते हैं खड़े, सबको गिरते, they eat lots of and they also make so much destructions too. So what happened? Incidents of injuring or killing men by leopards take place in Saurashtra and South Gujarat and by wolf in the forest of northern East Gujarat. Now the many of the incidents also have been found of injuring or killing men by leopards take place in Saurashtra and South Gujarat. Now just recent news about that Dipada. It's also called the leopards, which attack on the many of the human. So these types of incident also we can find injuring or the killing men by leopards. And by wolf in the forest of northeastern Gujarat. A precaution is necessary to prevent such disaster. And while this wild animal attack on the human, in this conflict, many of the humans also lost their lives. But at the end, that wild animal also lost their lives. They also become the victim of the human wreck. Now the remedies to conserve the wildlife, यानी कि वाइल्ड लाइफ है उसे हम किस तरह से बचा सकते हैं, हाउ वी कैन कंजर्व. So a long term planning is necessary to conserve and increase forest area. It is our responsibility to grow more and more forest. We should have to stop the deforestation. Okay, we shall have to be more dedicated to implement strong legal provisions and their strict implementation for the conservation of forest area and wild animal. And we also have to be more dedicated for the implementation and strong legal provisions and the restrictions for the strict implement for the conservation of forest and also for the wild animal. Various social NGOs, the non-government organizations, should give this a top priority and arrange public awareness programs. Many of the NGOs and the social organizations, they also give this a top priority and also they arrange the public awareness programs. These programs will be included in the school syllabus and make the future citizens aware. So students, you also are studying, learning this about the awareness for the wildlife. So maybe you should also have to understand what is the importance of the wildlife for us and why we should have to conserve them. That is the why this chapter is included in 9th standard class for your awareness that what is the importance of the wildlife and why we should have to conserve them. Cutting of large trees outside of the forest are should be stopped. Okay, so many of the trees are cut outside of the forest, that should be completely stopped because the hollow space within them and their branches are nesting place for birds. Ponds, farm ponds and wetlands which are necessary for migratory birds and for those which are habitat near any water bodies should be protected. An active action is urgently needs to reduce pollution, to manage the forest fire, and anticipatory planning should be made for patrolling and safety. There should be a compulsory patrolling in the forest area after the some interval. Why? Because in the forest area, so many forest fire that incident we can find. So that fire is not occur as it start and spread all over the forest. No, it is spread slowly, slowly. So if there is a patrolling by a police or the by the forest department, so while in the beginning of the burning of that forest, we can stop it. We can cool down it. Also, we should have to stop the forest cutting because the hollow space within them, their branches are nesting place for birds because the branches of the trees are also very important for the birds nest. As it is in this region, the ponds, the farm, the ponds or the wetlands, this also we should have to protect because for these types of the birds, for the animals or the others biodiversity which is habitat near these water bodies, for them this water is also important. So we also have to be protect. An active action is urgently needed to reduce the pollution. It's also very important that we should have to reduce the pollution. Steps taken to preserve the wildlife. Now what types of steps have been taken? to preserve the wildlife. Since early time, this law have been framed in our country to protect the wildlife. Laws were framed to protect wildlife in the time of great Maurya king Ashok. बहुत पहले से, okay, for the protection of this wildlife, the laws have been framed. Laws were framed to protect this wildlife in the time of great Maurya king Ashok, Samrat Ashok, the great. Fundamental duties of citizen and directive principle in the constitution also. It's also our fundamental duties. It is also mentioned we should have to protect the wild animals. Include these things. Parliament has passed a Wildlife Conservation Act according to the recommendation of Indian Wildlife Board, and the Parliament also have passed the Wildlife Conservation Act, and that was recommendation was given by the Wildlife Board in 2014, and there were 503 sanctuaries, 102 national park, and 14 bioreserves. Of these, 22 sanctuary and 4 national park and one bioreserves zone happen to be in Gujarat. Okay, और इसमें से 2000 in the 2014 in the Wildlife Conservation Act there was a resolution was passed. 503 sanctuaries, 102 national park, and 14 bioreserves. Out of these, 22 sanctuaries and 4 national park and 1 bioreserves, it's happened to be in Gujarat, यानी कि गुजरात में ही है. Some protection schemes are planned for those species which are on verge of extinction. Let us know about some this project. So many of the animals, wild animals, the wildlife are on the verge of extinction. That is also a responsibility of the government, of the people, that we should have to take more care for them. And that is why the many of the schemes and the projects have been started. So let us know about some of this project. First is the project Tiger. This project was launched in 1973 against hunting and decreasing number of tiger. This was implemented for 9 reserve area, under which now 48 areas are covered. And this was for the protection of the tigers. And this project was launched in 1973. According to this project, no one can tease, harm, hunt or hunt the tiger. And it was strictly implemented. Okay, if anyone is found hunting, killing, or trying to injure these animals, they can be sent to the prison, or they have to pay the heavy fine too. Second is the lion project. There was a time when Asiatic lions were found up to Iran in the Asian subcontinent. Okay, due to hunting and the reduction of forest area, these lions are now restricted to Gir forest of Saurashtra Peninsula. At one stage, their number had gone below 100 in 1972. A project was started in Gir to protect the Asiatic lions. As a result of this project and the timely taken steps, there are now 523 lions according to the lion census held in 2015. Now, because of the hunting, the number of lions were decreased, and that is the reason. And because of this, the Gir forests were unrestricted in the southern Saurashtra Peninsula. So, because of this hunting, the lions number had gone below 100. But in 1972, the lion project was started in Gir to protect this Asiatic lion, and this lay timely taken steps, and that is why now the lions numbers are grown. Okay, and according to the Land census held in 2015, there are now 523 lands are in India. In addition to this, there are other projects also. The major projects among them are Hangul project for the rare species of Barasinga deer in Kashmir. Barasinga, okay. Have you seen that many of the horns on the deer that is called the Barasinga deer? The crocodile project for the saline water crocodile, rhino project for the protection of the Indian rhino, and the snow leopard project. These projects also have been taken and started in India. Wildlife conservation is possible only if the society and the government show firm determination to take step in right direction. Okay, so that wildlife protection or the conservation can be possible only if the both the government and the society, people, public, they show firm determination for the conservation of the wildlife and they take steps in right direction. Along with the development, we shall have to be dedicated to confirm our motto of environment preservation, and that is why we also should have to dedicate for the confirmation our motto of environment preservation. So now the here are the national parks of Gujarat. Okay, and which park is established when, in how much of the area, in which district, and which major animals are found in this national park. First is the Gir National Park. It was established in 1975 and is spread over 258.71 square kilometer area, which is situated in the Junagadh district, and which animals are protected in this national park are lion, leopards, chital, hyena, antelope, chinkara, and the crocodile. Second is the Black Buck National Park. It was established in 1976 and this national park is spread over 34.08 square kilometer area and it is situated in the Bhavnagar district, and in this national park the black buck, the wolf, khadmore and bustard animals are protected. Third is the Vansada National Park. It was established in 1979 and spread over 23.99 square kilometer of area. It is situated in the Navsari district, and the major animals which are protected in the Vansada National Park, the leopard, the hyena, the cheetah and chausinga. These animals are protected. Fourth is the Marine National Park. It was established in 1982 and this national park is spread over 162.89 square kilometer of area, and the animals and the Gulf of Kutch, Jamnagar district, this is situated, and the animals which are protected in this national park are seahorse, corals, jellyfish, octopus, oyster, dolphin and dugong. These species and these marine animals are protected. So dear students, here is the our lesson is completed. I'll send you after this video in the PDF form the additionals and the textual question answer. If you have any doubt or any questions about this chapter, you can ask me directly in my WhatsApp. Thank you. Bye bye.